Hello and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News Channel. We know that metaverses are all the rage. Metaverse tokens have done significantly better than other such tokens during this last dip. Many of them have actually gone up. So how do you maximize your ROI in metaverse tokens? Well, there's a couple of steps and a couple of things you want to look for. First of all, generally, you want to look for one that doesn't run on Ethereum. Because the thing about ETH is it's really expensive and slow right now. Yes, there are fixes coming like Layer 2, but Layer 2 actually does present its own problems that won't be fixed anytime fast or soon. I mean, there's friction between Layer 2s, there's the onboarding, offboarding costs of Layer 2s. Some Layer 2 transactions themselves aren't really that cheap. I think Polygon is pretty cheap, but I don't think Arbitrum or Optimism is honestly all that cheap. So the thing is, yes, there are like cross layer 2 chain bridges, which will actually reduce the friction or eliminate friction. But those are like still in kind of like early-ish development. There's going to need to be L2 bridges across everything. And that's probably not going to come, very, very quickly. We know how slow the development actually has been. And, the base layer still needs to process a lot of the transactions eventually. So the layer 2s will send TXs to the base layer, and it could actually have some congestion. Plus, there are just like a plethora of other things with layer 2, like it may not be fully decentralized, except yada, yada, yada. Things that I think really matter less right now. But the thing is, the onboarding friction, the sharing of liquidity, and the limited composability, that's more of a DeFi thing. That will actually hurt layer 2, at least in the short run. In the long run, maybe they'll solve them, but I think that's a couple of years coming yet. So, right, and plus, like, a lot of things just aren't on layer 2 right now. So you probably want a game that's not run on Ethereum, whether it's on Solana, whether it's on Wax, whether it's on BSC, etc. Those will actually be better than Ethereum because the transactions will not cost a lot of money. And obviously, people don't want to pay $10 for every transaction they do in the virtual world, because if they do, that's a huge disincentive to actually play that game over others. So that's the first thing you really want to look for right now. I do think a lot of the games on non-Ethereum blockchains will start to take off. If you actually look at DApp Radar, you can see that a lot of the most popular games are actually not Ethereum games. If you actually look at it right now. So essentially, like Splinterlands is Hive and Wax, Alien Worlds is Wax and BSC, Crypto Mines is BSC, and Axie Infinity is the first one. It's on both Ronin and ETH. I don't know if people are actually playing on Ronin or ETH, but then you have Farmer's World on Wax and Galaxy Blocks on Thundercore, Upland on EOS, Binary X on BSC. So you can actually see that a lot of these games are actually not directly on ETH. A lot of them are on BSC because of the lower fees, and there's a ton on Wax that do very, very well. The other thing is you want to get in fairly early is the thing. Like you want to look at a game that's under 1 billion market cap, and preferably even under 100 million if that's possible to maximize your ROI. However, you don't want to be scammed, obviously, so you will have to do a lot of research. If you actually see that there's some big backers on the project, that could actually be a winner, because if they have big backers on the project, they're less likely to be scams. You also don't want an anonymous development team. You want to know who the development team is. And when you actually look at the development team profiles, don't be fooled. Actually check their LinkedIn's and check to see if they seem real. Also, I would check their Reddits and stuff. Don't take everything there with a grain of salt, because obviously people who are invested are going to be very, very biased, whether the game is good or not. So take that with a giant grain of salt, but you can do some decent research there. So look at the team page, look at what support they have. And the thing is, when you see those big investors, if it looks shady, you can actually email some of those investors and ask them, have they actually invested in this game? I've actually done that a couple times, and they will sometimes respond. They don't always respond, but they will actually sometimes respond. Obviously, you want to look at the activity, like how many users there are at once, and what's the volume and the balance. Some games aren't really set up for balance and volume, and you also want to see if the game actually has staking or how their reward systems and tokenomics works. games that offer like, 5 billion APY, probably not a long-term investment. But you want like a kind of like a balanced tokenomic system. And this is the thing, you obviously have to play the games yourself to see like how much activity is actually going on in game, whether or not all those active users are bots or not. That's a very, very that's a very important thing. And to actually determine that, you actually have to play the game yourself. If you don't play the game yourself, it's going to be very, very difficult to determine such things. So like that's like one of the main things. Like a lot of people ask me like, how's this game or how's that game? I haven't played most of these games. I can't really tell you. I can only tell you like some basic statistics. But if you actually really want to know how the game works, you will actually need to play the game yourself. That is the most important thing actually. Like, because a game's success or failure, it isn't really dependent on its backers or anything. It's dependent on if the game is actually fun or not. If the metaverse is fun or not to be in. While success because people loved it, others, I mean, if they base it solely around the economic model and the game sucks, probably not going to be all that successful. So that is one of the most important things. You must play the games yourself to see which one you actually like more. So, and the thing is, you also have to look at the fully diluted market cap, and you compare the current market cap with a fully diluted market cap, because if the fully diluted market cap is way bigger than the current market cap, that means a lot of those coins have not been released, and then you will want to recheck its release schedule. I prefer games where at least 30-40% of their coins are actually released. I've seen a lot of games where less than 10% is actually released. Then if you buy one of those, you have to be aware that at some time, a lot of the vesting is going to actually be like finished, and people will actually dump their tokens. So that's something to always be aware of when you're investing in these metaverses. So those are kind of the things I would definitely look at. Try to find one that's not on Ethereum, that actually has big guys backing it. Always check to see if the backing's legit and they're just not making stuff up. Don't invest in ones where it's an anonymous team. And please play the game yourself, at least get a feel for it, and make sure the in-game users aren't just bots, because they like some games will actually do that just to make it look popular. And also look at the fully diluted market cap as compared to the market cap currently, and check what percentage of coins are actually out in the wild. Make sure there's not like a huge vesting schedule that's about to come up and a bunch of coins are going to get released and it dumps. The other thing is check social media, check their reports, see when they're going to do a major marketing push, and you will want to buy in either right before that marketing push or during that marketing push. And if you actually go deep in their social media, you will actually find that. So there's probably only time for you to actually research a couple of games, and you will want to look at games that are like, fairly a little bit smaller in market cap to maximize your EOI. Everyone knows about like Alien Worlds, Splinterlands, Axie Infinity. You will want to look for smaller games that have those kind of features that I just told you. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe and hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.